we are stoked today because we've got someone that we have. Well, actually, your son worked with us for a summer.
Yeah, he sure did.
And have had some mutual connections, so we'll be talking more about that here in just a little while. But our guest today is Jerry Kaizen.
Kaizen, right.
Not to be confused with Kaizen, even though it's spelled the same way, right?
That's right. I'm like the event, but bigger.
Exactly. We'll find out more about all that right after this.
We got so much to say. We got a podcast to make. We're sipping on lattes, and it's time for a coffee break. It's time for a coffee break. Oh, yeah.
All right, welcome back. Jerry, thank you very much for taking time out of your schedule to be with us today on a very short notice, by the way. But
That's all right.
I had posted on LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter everywhere a couple of weeks ago asking about, hey, does anybody know anyone that's doing an exceptional job in a couple of different areas? I'd love to get in contact with them to bring them on the podcast. And I got a connection or a message from your son, Hayden, and he said, hey, my dad would be a really good person to talk to. So I appreciate him.
I thanked him for that opportunity. I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and he's something else, that boy.
Yeah, very, very cool. Well, we do have a recurring segment on the podcast. It's 5 rapid-fire questions, randomly selected, so you have no idea what's coming.
Great.
So
right.
Here we go. Number 1, what is your favorite song from your teenage years that you still rock out to when nobody's listening?
Hell's Bells.
Hell's Bells.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah, a little AC/DC.
You want to sing a few bars?
I'm not going to sing any today. Maybe on the next visit.
Oh, okay. Number 2, what is the craziest thing on your bucket list?
Probably the parachute.
Parachute.
Yeah, I would love the opportunity to go up somewhere, 10,000 feet, take a leap, and see what happens when the parachute comes out.
Yeah, that would be fun.
If it comes out.
Yeah. No, that would be cool.
Yeah.
All right, number 3, what sport did you try as a child and fail at?
Basketball. That's an easy one.
Yeah?
Yeah. We were talking about multitasking, dribbling the basketball and walking at the same time is difficult.
Well, that's a vital fundamental of basketball,
Yeah.
so I can see how that would be an issue. Did you play any other sports?
I did. I played football and I wrestled in high school.
Really? Yeah. What position in football?
Mm-hmm. Played, believe it or not, offensive line.
Really?
I was a guard for a couple of years, and then they had to move me to tackle my senior year. But
Sweet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right, and then let's see here. Number 4, if you could switch places with anyone in your family for a day, who would it be?
Probably my 4-year-old grandson.
Really?
Yeah, because life has no stress.
Yeah.
It's just play this game, get out this toy. You don't have to worry about what's going to happen. Somebody else is going to take care of dinner, so you got it made.
Yeah, that's pretty low stress right there. And then the last question, what's the best prank that you ever played on someone?
The best prank, that's probably a tough one. Probably the time I called my wife and told her that I had just totaled her new car. Yeah.
What kind of reaction did we get from this? This sounds like a good one.
She is a redhead,
Uh-huh.
and so she demonstrated what redheads do and went off the deep end, and yeah.
Hey, but
It
you
was
didn't
much
actually.
fun.
You didn't actually.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I just had the car.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. Well, cool. Well, you passed it. Rapid fire questions. You got a score of 743. So
wow. Okay.
Congratulations. Yeah. All right. So, Jerry, your official title, I guess, role is customer care manager for.
Right. For our office is DSS Customer Service of Monroe.
Okay. DSS, for those that have no context to that, because I know Asa Abloy loves to have acronyms.
We love acronyms almost as much as the Army does, to be honest with you. We've got an acronym for everything. But yeah, Door Security Solutions is actually the independent sales arm of the Asa Abloy company, and we support them with customer service and order processing. So we actually in our little unit here in Monroe, North Carolina, We do order processing, customer service support, and key system design for 6 different Assa Abloy companies.
So it's more than just customer service. It's literally, as it says, customer care, anything that would be directly related to interacting with the customer.
Right. We actually call it the front end. So when a customer sends an order in, from the time that order comes in, we handle it from cradle to grave. So we take care of that customer from the time they present the order till they have the product in their hands.
And just for context, because I think some of the conversation that we're going to get into is going to be, I want to really kind of craft a conversation. And the reason that Hayden said that it would be great for you to come on is that you've recently implemented some new systems with Assa Abloy for customer care, and that's been your kind of customer service, customer care has been what you've been in for a long period of time. So tell us a little bit your background of how you got into the field and kind of what's drove that passion.
Sure. Everything else in my life I've done in like 3-year cycles. I do something for 3 years, get bored. From the time I was out of college, and I got into this crazy hardware business coming out of, actually I was in the insurance world, and I had a mutual friend who was working at this little plant in this small town in the middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania, and he said, "Hey, we're looking for somebody to learn how to do this." I said, "Oh, that sounds like fun." And I'll tell you what, this industry just is so rapidly changing and so interesting.
Yeah.
I've been doing this hardware stuff ever since, and I actually started editing orders years ago as they would come in, because everybody speaks their own language, and we would have to take an order that would come from a customer and turn it into the language we needed to put into the system.
Yeah.
And from that evolved. Eventually, I was managing the order processing group, pretty soon the customer service group. And after doing that a number of years, I got the opportunity to go do what I was doing for one company for 6 companies. So we relocated down here to Monroe. I took the job as customer service manager. And about 2 years ago, I had the opportunity then to take over the entire facility, which has really been fun. And
so you've got so much experience with that, and I think that's one of the things that's difficult to really explain to, and maybe it's not. Maybe I've overthought it too much. But in our industry, in the security industry, what you just said is everybody kind of, there's no standardized terminology. Everybody kind of has their own version of that thingamabob that they need, and how they ask for it is completely different.
Right.
We struggle with it, I guess, or have been challenged with it from our customer side, from the actual end user side into our service. But I've seen it across the industry, even from a service provider, they all have their own language as well.
Right.
Just kind of how they operate.
Right. It's interesting because I look at it like trains, and I'm not a train person by any stretch of the imagination, but when you look at model trains, you have the HO scale and the N scale, and so you have all these different size tracks, and everybody's trying to go to the same place, but they may be trying to get there with a different size of track. And so when they get to you, you've got to find a way to adapt them into what you have. And when I look at the future, when I look at where we want to be or where we would like to be in 5 years, it will be nice to have that stuff just seamlessly transition so that you could do a lot more, maybe EDI order processing versus a customer who 10 years ago just wrote down freehand what he wanted on a piece of paper and handed it to you, right? So as we work through that, we're trying to find ways, we're trying to find the right software that will go out and say, it doesn't matter what system you're using, it doesn't matter how your orders get pulled together. We can take that, we can translate that and put that into our language so that we have a seamless integration. And along with that comes learning and understanding how that customer speaks.
Sure.
And if you can understand that, a lot of times you have a lot of success helping the customer.
The phrase easy to do business with, making it easy to do. How is that translated to you? What are you guys doing on that side of things within a large organization like Assa Abloy?
Yeah. It can be, and especially in some of the lock companies historically have told you how you'll do business with them, right? I mean, let's be real. That's what happens out there. So finding a way, what we try to do is take a look at what we're doing, what kind of eye pokes we're giving the customer, what we're doing to make it difficult to place an order, how we're making it difficult to find out statuses, make changes to orders, do things like that, because invariably that just happens in almost every transaction. Something changes from the genesis of a need to the point where you're ready to actually put something into production. production. So what are we doing to make it difficult for you? And let's find a way to take that pain away.
Yeah.
You know?
It's interesting because I think what you're saying, and this is one of the things that I like to try to do on this podcast, is because our listeners are from a lot of different industries and backgrounds. So trying to keep it as generic as possible. I think everything that you just said is very generic.
Yeah.
A customer is requesting something, and typically the vendor, the people that are receiving the information, have historically said, no, you're giving it to us wrong.
Right. Exactly.
You need to adapt to us rather than us adapt to you. And the world has changed so much that you can't operate that way anymore from any level of customer service, from a manufacturer down to an end user or service company, is finding ways that's it's relevant to that actual customer.
Right. That's absolutely correct. And it's difficult because like you said earlier, you mentioned a little while ago, everybody speaks their own language, and you may call it a doohickey and I may call it a thingamajig, and we have to figure out what that is for you. And I think that's the level of service that we need to find. And you want to find it, if you can, a digital solution rather than a non-digital solution. But otherwise you need a translator in between. But you really need to work on those things. Again, those are things I call eye pokes to the customer. You're smacking them right back in the forehead and saying, no, you've got to do it this way.
Well, and I'll say this just as a side note, kind of get back on track with this conversation. But I know over the last 6 months or so, we were having some. I'm trying to think of the right word to use because it wasn't an annoyance or a frustration, but we were having some miscommunication between when we were sending in key system requests to you guys
into our team,
and we were kind of going back and forth, and ultimately you said, hey, can we just sit down and have a conversation and figure out? And at the end of the day, we were calling something, using a terminology for one thing, and you guys were using a different terminology. We were both asking for the same thing. We were just using two different pieces of terminology.
And the thing that I remind my team all the time is we all want the same thing. So you're the customer. You know what you need, and you know when you need it. And so if we can figure out exactly what it is you need, then we can help you get it when you need it. And a lot of times that relationship becomes key, and if you can just sit down and thrash it out. Now we know when you order something a specific way, that's what you're asking for. Makes it easier.
So from any type of a customer service standpoint right now, you're dealing with customers at whatever level. What are some things that you've learned through your experience in customer care? Like, how are you getting in front of a customer? I just gave an example, but is it very specific like that? Are you being? Is there like an intentional way of saying, hey, we want to sit down and talk to this number of customers at a regular intervals?
Right. So we try to listen to our customers in different ways. Obviously, if something gets escalated to a point where it gets to a manager level, we're going to listen to see. Then we'll go back and we'll actually, do forensics, as we like to call it. What happened? What went wrong? Where did the miscommunication occur? We also do a lot of things we were talking about. We just recently started down the NPS, Net Promoter Score survey path to get some more voice of customer. And the two things that we hear, or I heard when I looked at the survey results and I looked at the detail of things, is customers today are looking for two things: speed wins, right? Mm-hmm. Right, and quality. Quality builds trust. So what we've tried to do philosophically in our organization is funnel everything through those two windows. So any kind of a change, any kind of a new program that we're going to roll out, how does it fit into one of those two windows? Speed wins and quality builds trust, and that really helps us frame exactly what we're doing and kind of keep us on track for helping the customers.
On that note, around here we talk a lot about core values, and we kind of keep a couple of different mantras happening, and as we have over here on the side, always improving. That's something we talk about all the time. How important have you found it when you're dealing with these customer service teams to have almost a customer service mission statement or something, a vision statement? Like, is that something that you guys are working on, and so that you can create a level of empowerment for people to make those decisions without having to go through lots of red tape?
Yeah. We have a big banner out in the archway to walking into the order processing department that says "One team, one goal." And we talk about it when we get the whole team together. We talk about it when we're dealing with in staff meetings with our leads and our managers, that, what is that goal? We're all on the same page. And that one team doesn't just mean the people in our building. It means our customers, it means our factories, it means us. And we have that one goal. And typically for our customers, it's, what do you need? When do you need it? And if you can collectively provide that for them and find ways to do that better, you're going to see improvement.
All right. The two great factors. What do you need? When do you need it?
Mm-hmm.
How is because this is something that I think every service company deals with, I guess manufacturing the same way. At any point when a customer's ordering something, and I go back to Amazon a lot of times on this, because one of the drives to Amazon for me personally is when you go there, you click on a product, and on that product it says when you can have it. You never even have to add it to your cart. There's nothing else you have to do. It tells you exactly when it's going to arrive at your specific destination based off of looking at the product. So that's, what do you need and when do you need it? Those are the two questions. Yep. When what you need and when you need it don't meet what you can accomplish, I'm trying to get to the point of the question. What is the process that you guys go through to say, we have what you need, but you can't have it in the time you need it, or vice versa? Like, how do we communicate that?
And you know what? Those are the great opportunities, because when that happens, when those two pieces aren't going to meet the way they are, that's your opportunity to build a customer for life. And that's kind of the way I look at it. Some of our best customers are the customers that maybe we've really messed something up for them. Yeah. Because we've helped them resolve that situation, or maybe they've really messed something up on the front end before they sent an order in, and we manufactured a whole bunch of stuff that now we're going to take and put in a dumpster because it's no good. But those are the opportunities. If you can successfully help your customer through that situation and help them resolve that situation the best way possible, you have a friend for life. Yeah. I love to tell the story. One day, I coached football for about 12 years, kind of in a tiny little town where we were at. I was a varsity football coach, was still working at Rockwood at the time. And one day I see my wife's Ford Taurus speeding up the dirt road towards the practice field with a big trail of dust coming out, and the door flies open, and she's marching out onto my practice field with a piece of paper in her hand. She got our AT&T, she got our cellular telephone provider bill for the month. And my daughter, who was in high school at the time, had a boyfriend who was deployed in Iraq. And we said, now don't you call him. And she was standing there with like a $2,500 cell phone bill. Wow. And she said, I don't know what we're going to do. This is going to kill us. We're going to turn, Yeah. And we called AT&T. They forgave the bill. We suspended any international calling. We made arrangements so she could talk to her boyfriend when she needed. They had a customer for life. My wife will not leave that carrier. They could charge me 20 times what everybody else is. It doesn't matter. And the reason that she has that loyalty is because they helped her in a critical time resolve a situation. That's what I'm saying, is when those two things don't meet, we need to make sure that our team is empowered to help that customer resolve the situation the best way possible for everybody involved. And that's how you get loyal customers.
Very interesting. Okay, so this has been a topic that we've been going back and forth around here, because you have these types of situations, and I've been struggling with this a lot, because we've been trying to put a lot of processes in place, because you have to have processes to scale, right? Mm-hmm. So there has to be documented processes so everybody knows what to do. At what point do you process actual listening out of the equation, right? So, if in that scenario that you just gave, if the person in the customer care department at AT&T was not listening, I'm sorry, sir, yes, these are your charges. It was called on your phone.
We'll help you make arrangements for payment.
Yeah. No, you don't understand. Like, this was not supposed to happen. I'm sorry, sir, this is our process. But somebody actually stepped away from the process and listened to what was actually going on to work through that.
And again, to me, it goes back to empowering that agent to know the situation, to know the customer, and to know what we're able to do that goes above and beyond. And instead of having somebody maybe wait 5 days and have to escalate and, I need to talk to your manager and I need to talk to your manager. If they can just call the person they typically deal with or call that agent at that level and they're empowered to make that decision, it really makes a difference.
There is one of our team members here used to work at a call center, and he was the supervisor of a certain area, and he's made this comment to me multiple times. He said it was so frustrating because the level of information that they were able to that a customer service representative was able to give to the person on the phone, they had everything they needed, but every person had this mentality that, well, that's not good enough for me. I need to speak to the supervisor. And they always wanted to speak to the supervisor. So they would get passed over to him, and he would tell them the exact same thing that the other person told them. And they would just had this sense of, okay, well, if you said it, it's got to be true. Well, what can change so that customer service representative, the first line of answering the phone, can give them the information with utmost confidence that they don't need to ask for a supervisor?
Right. So we pride ourselves in not being a traditional call center.
Okay.
We actually have our agents broken out into the sales territory, so sections of the United States. And in our business, a little different maybe than some more end-user type customers where we have the same customers calling over and over again. And our reps are able to develop relationships with those customers and with the sales team to support them. And when that happens, then that's when you're able to empower that agent to make those decisions. So they don't need to go running up a chain. And typically now for me, if a call's escalated, to my point, it's because I know that agent has exhausted every resource they have to try and resolve the situation, and they just need some help.
Yeah. So customer care, it's listening to the customer's needs, asking those questions of what do you need and when do you need it, and then figuring out, can we meet that, or negotiating to somewhere all parties are
right.
And I think what you just you alluded to earlier in a very politically correct way is a lot of times in the customer waits to the last minute, or things have been
absolutely
have been busted up way before it got to you, and now you have to deal with it.
Right. In our business this time of the year, it comes right down to that early August window when it's time for all the kids to move back into the dorms, into colleges, or the elementary school's going to open soon, and the contractor forgot to order the exit devices for 21 doors, and he says, I'm going to have students here next Wednesday, and we look at the production schedule and say, oh boy.
Yeah.
So, it takes a little bit of work to help them, but again, those are the people, when you can help them, typically you have a customer for life then through it.
So another thing that we had kind of talked about earlier is, so you were talking about kind of building systems to be able to gather the information effectively, so that you can meet the customer wherever they are. So if they're depending on how they are placing their order, that you're not forcing them down a certain path, but you're able to kind of adapt. What are some other things that you've been looking at, or maybe some things in the future that you haven't quite yet implemented that would be this is a major game changer for us as an organization?
Right. So we just started working with a CRM that is going to help us. Hopefully our IT support and developers are going to help us pull together probably 5 or 6 different systems that our agents use every day to help our customers. At one point when I first got here, we were functioning on 4 different ERPs in the same building based on the brand that you were coming from.
What is an ERP?
So basically the ERP is the system that you use to enter orders, produce orders, and I'm not even sure what that acronym means. That's one I got to go home and look up. Oh boy, but anyway, so we had
basically an order entry system.
System, manufacturing system. So we had four different ones of those going on. And then you get a lot of homegrown things. So we have a system that was built we call it a customer care form system. So when a customer calls in and they need a replacement order, they want to send material back for credits, that kind of thing. That was another system. Then we have another system that communicates with the factories directly. Then we have another system that we use to communicate back to the customers. And so on a typical phone call, an agent picks up the call, they go into our digital imaging system, which is separate, to pull up the original PDF of the order that was emailed to us. Then they open up the ERP to see what the order looked like when we put it into the system. Then they may open up what we call our Comet system that we use to communicate with the factory to see if there were any order changes or any expedite requests. Then they open up another system to go in and start to take care of the customer's needs. And we're saying, this is crazy. So
wow.
we've developed, or we're in the process of developing a CRM, a case management system that will envelop all those things. So we have one tool, and that agent has one screen right in front of them, and it also looks like what the customer sees when they go out on the internet onto our web, our web pages to get statuses and things like that.
So finding ways to provide that information in an easy to navigate for your customers, but also on a bigger scale, doing that internally, because if your own team members can't find the information, then
right.
That's wow.
So a typical call coming into our building lasts about 2.5 minutes, and what we're hoping is we can shorten up that. One of the things that I was talking to you about that we're looking at. Putting in a new phone system for all of the Americas, and then we can take every brand in our company has a different menu system when you dial the 800 number, and they come down through. And we even a year ago went through and we kind of standardized all the numbers. So with every company, when you press 1, you get customer service. When you press 2, you get accounts payable, and so on and so forth. But you still spend 2-3 minutes going through a menu only to find out, you called the wrong brand. So we're trying to put in a system that we can get rid of all that menu stuff, and then maybe we can employ some AI stuff that we can ask the customer for an order number and what they need, and by the time that call routes to the agent, everything that agent needs to help them will be right there on the screen in front of them.
Let me ask you this question, because this is something that we have had a discussion internally about from some of the research that you've done or information that you're aware of. What is because in all of our businesses, phone is a central point of communication. People, because and my philosophy, I guess, and maybe it's not really anything a new philosophy, but it's people want to pick up the phone so they can call somebody, because they know that they have somebody that they can.
Once they have that person, they'll get their issue resolved.
There you go.
Yeah.
Is there any information that you guys have been looking at that says if we can provide up to the minute updates electronically on a web portal, it reduces phone calls?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Self-service is something because I mean, we're in this information age, and everybody has a smartphone and everybody has an app, and and if your app did what it was supposed to, we feel like we could eliminate a significant amount of phone traffic because the customer could get that information very quickly, very easily, without even making the phone call.
Yeah.
Problem right now is maybe some of the factories, some of our companies, it may be a 24-hour delay before they update data. For some, it's an 8-hour. Sometimes it's a 2-hour. We would like everybody to have immediate information, and the teams are working on that, because we really feel strongly that we could eliminate I'm guessing 25-30% of our phone calls if that information was readily available and very up to date and very accurate.
If it was live and reliable and all those things, then there's no reason to call somebody.
You don't need it.
If the information out there, then you post a message, you can get an immediate answer type thing. It's more of an interactive chat that reduces your phone traffic.
Right. And we do, just to give you a flavor, we do probably 12,000 phone calls a month, and somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 chats coming through. So we do offer the live chat. Yeah. It kind of trends up and down. I haven't really gotten a feel for why that is yet, but it's growing slowly.
I feel like, because we've seen the same thing. We implemented chat on our website a couple of years ago, and it's grown significantly over time. I mean, it's probably in a very similar ratio. I mean, we don't have 12,000 calls a month, so but it's in a very similar ratio to that from our calls to online chats. But it seems like once it's there and people are on the website, it's a natural, hey, if I can get somebody live, like that's really, I just want somebody live. I don't care if it's in person or on chat, but I just don't want to send an email and wait for a response. Right.
And again, that goes through that main window, one of those two main windows. Speed wins.
Yeah.
So if they can get to somebody, and we're trying to do more with that, make that chat link more readily available. We're talking about adding it to a lot of the outbound communications that we have. Shipping notifications. We put that chat link right there, so a customer pops open their shipping notification, says, oh, I wonder if they did this. Well, just boom, click the chat button and say, hey. And again, getting back to that one call resolution, speed wins, taking care of that customer as quickly as you can as well.
Yeah. That's very interesting. So you're looking at systems that could potentially have some AI, some artificial intelligence to say, hey, what are you looking for, and can we route you to the correct place faster so you don't have to go through this crazy menu? Faster, more reliable information at a web portal so that you can easily navigate it. Those are seemingly natural things that's what everybody's looking for. But I know in some industries, you still have some people that are faxing or
oh my goodness,
whatever.
We do. We still. I swear to God, we still have a customer that uses thermal paper fax. I know you faxed that to me last month, but I can't read it anymore. And I'm like, really? Is this real? Are you kidding me? This can't be. But seriously, we struggle with push and pull because you can inundate a customer with push information. So what's best for the customer? And that's one of the things you got to get a feel for. Do they want a shipping notification every time something ships, or do they want the ability to go on a website and say, for this job, give me shipping notifications? So we're trying to get a feel for, because a lot of times you have good information go out and you're flooding somebody's email account with stuff, and they're not even going to look at it because you're giving them 7 other pieces of stuff a day. So we're trying to figure out what the best balance is there too.
Yeah, that makes sense. And also the ability to integrate with other systems. So integrate back into customer systems. So if they can transmit you orders electronically, they can also receive those notifications.
Right.
That would be amazing.
Right. So we have, of course, we do a significant amount of business with Amazon as a vendor, and a couple other, Granger, McMaster-Carr, and some of those guys, and we do have a good EDI path set up so they can transmit inbound data, and we're able to send ASNs out to them automatically, and so all that stuff's possible. The trick is finding that way to take their train track and get it to the right size, and the guy that can help, guy, female, whatever, can help us design that, they could be able to make a lot of money, because there's a ton of systems out there. Everybody bought a different system. And so they all speak a slightly different language, but if we can find a way to order that data right so that it comes in right, boy, there's a lot of power in that.
Most definitely. Just as kind of in closing, what is one of the biggest lessons that you've learned, or maybe even kind of your personal mantra of how you apply this kind of customer care philosophy in everything you do? What's the kind of big takeaway that you've had over the last several dozen years and kind of learning this process better?
To me, it goes all the way back to relationship. If you have the right relationship with that customer and they know that you have their best interest at heart and you're empowered to help them, that it always pays dividends and rewards.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you coming to visit with us today and having the conversation with us, because I know there's several things from a customer care standpoint that we've been working on internally, and I think this is very timely that we get to kind of hear some of this information, things that we can apply in our business and kind of learn. And that's one of the things, I've told many people this, especially with Assa Abloy. We have had such a great opportunity to be able to sit at the table with another company that's learning and developing, and we get to kind of learn some of those lessons.
We call it stealing with pride. And sharing ideas, there's nothing wrong with it. It makes us all better.
Yeah, so, most definitely. Well, again, thank you very much for your time. For those that are listening or watching for the first time, this is something that we do every single week. We have a Coffee Break podcast every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. on Facebook and YouTube, on Periscope, on Twitter, and you can subscribe to get the audio version. It comes out shortly thereafter on Tuesdays. So make sure you check that out, subscribe so you can get the latest episode. Right now we just closed out our first full year of podcast episodes.
That's awesome.
So we've got over 52 episodes to be able to listen to. So go check all those out. For more information on that, you can visit Loc-Doc.net/podcast. podcast. Jerry, once again, thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to chatting with you again.
My pleasure, and I appreciate the opportunity.
All right. See you soon.
To learn more about the topics discussed today and to connect with us online to hear all of the episodes available, visit Loc-Doc.net/podcast.
We got so much to say. We got a podcast to make. We're sipping on lattes, and it's time for a coffee break. It's time for a coffee break. Oh, yeah.
The Coffee Break Podcast is brought to you by Loc-Doc Security. We'd love to connect with you online on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Just search LOCDOCINC.